Lieutenant Colonel Courtney Rogers.
Go Courtney!
Thank you. I know most of you've never seen me, and so who the heck is she? Well, I claim no title but one. I am an American. And as are each one of you. And as such, we are under the protection of the Constitution of the United States, a Constitution that was built on the principles that all men are created equal, and that we are given certain inalienable rights, meaning rights that no man, no government, no party has authority, for they are given to us by our Creator, our God. My military experience has taught me that our freedom is sacred and must be defended. None of the veterans here took an oath to protect a landmass or territory, and neither did we pledge allegiance to an individual. We are honored, we are proud, and we are humbled to serve the ideological foundation of this nation, the Constitution. Now, I am neither politician nor preacher, but I am going to talk about God and politics. I'm not going to be politically correct, because political correctness is the denial of truth to force acceptance of the unacceptable. And the truth is that millions have come here and fled the tyranny of socialist and communist governments to live and prosper under the American dream of freedom. So with all the historical evidence, the historical truth against the destructiveness of such regimes, how can it be that Washington is trying to force such systems down our throats? It bothers me that people my age don't remember, and kids certainly don't understand the repugnance of socialism. Sharing is a good thing. Yes, if it is voluntary. That is charity that is honored in God-centered societies. But socialism is the enslavement of one people by another, and it is the destruction of the human spirit. It's the end of innovation and of work ethic. It is the dumbing down to the lowest common denominator. Now, if your kids don't understand that explanation, have them watch Star Trek: The Next Generation, any of the Borg episodes. The Borg come, they assimilate life forms, and they turn them into Obots that can no longer speak or think independently of the collective. They no longer know the word I, and the only purpose for their existence is to continue the collective. And your militia, your veterans, we do not fight and die for a collective. We fight and die so our families can live and prosper in a free nation. So why would a government want to do this to a free people? Well, as a military strategist, I am taught to look at things systemically and break them down and try to find the one thing, the vulnerability that maybe spans one or more of those systems. And the truth is that every single system that is supporting our Constitution right now is infected. Our executive and legislative branches have been reduced to nothing more than a single-party personality cult in which the development of dependency is preferred over self-sufficiency. Our supreme and lesser courts are loath to use the Constitution as its measure of judgment. So all we have right now is a moving target, arbitrary findings. There is no standard. And education, 14 million Americans have low literacy skill in this nation, and our schools are dangerous. Chicago cannot figure out why young Darian Albert was bludgeoned to death in the street. Well, education is more than just 2 + 2. It is honor, it is integrity, it is patriotism, and yes, it is virtue. But secularization of our schools and the lack of patriotism in the classroom have left these children behind. They've been left behind with no God and no country in which to believe. They've been left behind with no self-respect, no respect for mankind, and no hope. That is what happened in Chicago. And our free market economy, this government has shackled it. And if we get any more foreign debt, we can be further subjugated to global socialism. The church, they were once the moral conscience of this nation, but they are shackling themselves, quoting their 501 status or the risk of offending a few parishioners. And so as their reason to remain silent, this does not work. This cooperation did not go well for the Eastern Orthodox under Stalin. It did not end well. And churches, if there are any pastors out there, believe me, if you don't worry about the few, you will fill up your pews when you become relevant and give spiritual guidance to political decisions. And our families are being crushed under the weakened economy, the welfare state. And now this government wants to take away your parental rights. Don't worry, honey. We'll take care of that little problem of yours. Just don't tell your parents. And the military, guardians of the Constitution, have not been left unscathed. 13 civilians and soldiers were murdered at the hands of political correctness in Fort Hood, Texas. And I have serious contempt for the leaders that had nothing better to say after witnessing the slaughter. Gee, I hope it doesn't hurt our diversity. Oh, I would swear right now if I was not in public. So what? So, darn it. So what is this thing crippling our national systems and intoxicating the power drunk in Washington? Well, that one thing, as Jack Palance would say, is ignorance. Ignorance of our Constitution and ignorance of the role of God in our freedom.
Can you do this for a minute, my hand?
Thomas Jefferson once said, if a nation wishes to remain free and ignorant in a state of civilization, it wants what never was and never will be. Now fast forward a couple hundred years, Nathan Sharansky, a Jewish Soviet dissident, explains how the Soviet Union was able to take a normal human being and transform him into a Homo Sovieticus, a Borg. Okay, they did it, and listen carefully. They did it by not just taking away their private property. They deprived them of their religion. Right. They took away their history. A lot of revisionism. They took away their national pride and their cultural identity. It took Nathan Sharansky underground reconnection with these for him to confront tyranny. But if you have freedom of the mind, if you know the source of your freedom, you can confront tyranny even if you are in shackles. That's right. Why do you think the Soviets killed 32,000 soldiers and clergy and teachers and businessmen in Katan? It was because they had freedom of the mind. Now, ignorance is a powerful adversary, and it has two offspring that voraciously feed off of each other. The first is arrogance. Arrogance knows best. Arrogance seeks total control, and arrogance is completely intolerant. The second offspring is apathy, and it is just as dangerous, for it is allowing the destruction of our nation simply by doing nothing about it. Churches and individuals note, silence denotes acceptance. And here's the problem. Arrogance only gets more and more aggressive when it is left unchallenged. And its means to exact compliance only gets more and more vicious. Do you really think 16,000 IRS agents are about health care? No! We're not that stupid. But anyway, Tea Party, you have a tremendous destiny in the restoration of this republic and in saving this Constitution. But how do we fight this enemy, ignorance?